Today it's time for the grand finals of the Warty Korean Royale Tournament. This is a $3,500 event, and this right here is what it all comes down to. One best-of-7 series for all the marbles. Now, I've been casting this man an awful lot lately, but you know what? I don't really feel guilty over it because he's probably the most entertaining, at least to me, he's the most entertaining player in the entire game right now. With the blue Protoss pieces, joined again by Zest on the main Nexus. We're looking inside of the main base of hero. His opponent down in the bottom left. I think we can almost consider this man the new #1 Zerg. With the red Zerg pieces. We have Solar. Now, there was a very quick probe. I was just wondering real quick there whether or not it's going to be a cannon rush. Not the case, just blocking the natural expansion. Obviously, the thing is that Cyril hasn't really been playing in a whole lot of tournaments. I'm sure he's playing. I'm sure he's pretty darn good at the game. Maybe by the time that this video goes up on YouTube, Cyril has been participating in tournaments again. But at this point, as of me casting it, it's been like, yeah, it's been a good 2, maybe even 3 months or so since I've last seen the man compete. Solar has been very impressive, though. So Solar's playstyle in Zerg versus Protoss is relatively straightforward. I mean, it's not easy, but it's pretty straightforward to understand. He seems to have 2 very distinct phases in his playstyle. So he has a droning phase where he makes an insane amount of workers, right? And then he has an army phase. And generally speaking, when he starts producing a lot of army, he never goes back to droning. He doesn't tech up. He doesn't go up towards a hive. He just doubles down on whatever he's got, and he just keeps flooding the map with stuff. And it is surprisingly effective. I really didn't think it was going to be as good as it turned out to be so far. Now, obviously, hero is a bit of a beast. Somebody who's very difficult to predict, so I'm not exactly sure how good that sort of playstyle is going to be against the likes of hero, who is very fond of tech switching, who's very happy to play the late game if he needs to, but likewise also very happy to go ahead and cheese you. It's difficult, I think, going up against hero in general, because the man is capable of a little bit of everything. Stargate opener, though, for now. Nothing out of the ordinary thus far. Warp gate research is, well, skipped for the time being. He's going to start it up right now. Solar is going to notice that with the Overlord, he will see the little spinny animation inside of the Cybercore, and he will already be able to deduce that indeed this is going to be a Stargate opener almost every single time. The simple reason is that, well, this research over here is 50 gas. The Stargate is 150 gas. Twilight Council and Robo Facility are 100 gas each. So if Protoss, delays the Warp Gate research, it most of the time means, and I mean, it's only like a 10, maybe 20-second delay or so tops. Most of the time, that means that it is indeed going to be a Stargate opener. So we'll probably see some blind static defense here in a moment. Ooh, Void Ray first. Now, this is one of the most difficult... Oh, now he knows for certain there's literally Zerglings hopping around. Apparently, the Adept on the other side of the map did not quite stop the Ling from moving in. Anyways, the Void Ray first is, of course, always a little tricky, right? So this is an excellent example of the style that hero really likes. So technically, this is not optimal. Technically, what you should be doing if you want to play optimal as Protoss is go for an Oracle first. But the problem is, as soon as the Void Ray is out, well, the problem for the Zerg then is, all scouting should be denied. So what is the follow-up going to be from hero? Maybe it's slightly suboptimal, but at this point, the sky really is the limit. And when you're going up against somebody who's capable of a bit of everything, what do you expect right here from Solar? Right? If you're Solar in this particular spot, do you assume that it's going to be double Stargate Tempest? Do you assume that it's a Mothership Rush? Do you assume it's just going to be like a standard follow-up with a third Nexus? Third Nexus seems late, 4:05 on this one. Normal timing for it would be about 3:50, 3:45 or so. Just going to be an Oracle on the back of this, and nothing really is too weird. But until this, this Oracle is spotted, Solar is going to be in the dark. He actually doesn't know of the third Nexus. The third Nexus positioning is weird, too. Yeah, he's checking the other spot now. Solar thinking the same thing. A couple of Adepts do move in. Oracle, in the meantime, moves into the third base. Zergling has scouted out that indeed the third has been taken, and... well, Solar actually looking pretty darn solid so far. Lair starts up, about 440. Nothing too crazy. He actually skipped out on the Spore Crawler in the natural expansion. Safety Roach Warren, so none of those things that we've been seeing from, for example, Shin. Shin has been skipping out the Roach Warren in basically every game lately. Can be kind of a problem. Small group of adepts. Yeah, small-ish. It's not a Glaive Adept follow-up at the very least. Could still be coming, to be fair. Adepts do swoop in. A lot of Zerglings are being produced at the moment, and there are already a lot of Queens. Can the Oracle maybe achieve anything? Couple of Lings on the other side of the map. Halted by that Void Ray. Looks like the Adept Shade is gonna try and move forward. Not the case. +1 air, or +1 ground rudder starts up, and do we go Blink? Yeah. We are indeed not gonna follow this up with Glaives. Instead, we decide to go for the good old Blinky boys. Now, in the meantime, Solar fires up the Overlord speed upgrade. And usually, the only reason you do that is if you want to go for some sort of push. It's nice to have later on into the game too, but usually if you get it at this point in time, it means that you want to be sending the Queens across with a cheeky little Dropper Lord. Oh, if he gets the Oracle, that would be big. Not quite going to be able to get it. Zerglings do get the wraparound right now. Obviously, the recall ability is on cooldown. Oracle also ends up falling. I think Brenda, Karen, Margaret, Lily, and Susan, the 5 queens right over here, I think they're going to take a little trip. Yeah. They have a little private jet that is... Okay, sorry. Sorry, Susan. Sorry, Beth. I'm running out of boomer names. Anyways, the 4 ladies do go inside of the OV. We have a couple more Overlords chasing this as well, just to drop some additional creep. This is going to be a scary attack. Solar is ready to basically put it all on the line. I do really like this Void Ray here, delaying things for just a moment. You obviously do need a bit of creep to be able to transfuse. The Queens cannot transfuse off creep, meaning that this is now, well, all a little bit flimsy. Looks like one of the Ravagers may get denied, although the Queens may very well keep it going. They will when the Void Ray dies. In the meantime, those Adepts from earlier have decided to go back around the side, but I think we need to keep our camera right over here because hero is losing the 3rd base. The Queens are trying their best to just help out in whatever way they can, but it's a little bit clumsy. In the meantime, we have some reinforcing Queens and then some drones working away at those Adepts. Honestly, a lot of damage done by just 3 of those bad boys, but hero is losing the 3rd base, all of the probes, and then pretty much all of his army. Now, are we going to double down? Are we just gonna send the troops some more? Considering there is a 4th hatch right now and some additional drones coming up, I don't believe that Solar is going to go all in, but he's still going to use the units that he's got to continue pushing. And this is an excellent example, right, of when your opponent is doing something a little bit weird, when they're doing a bit of a strange build order across the board, maybe you should just go hit him in the face. Solar doesn't have a huge economy on the back of this, though. So even though he does kill the opponent's 3rd, it's not like he's massively ahead in that regard. Stalkers are still very cost-effective. Killing the Cybercore is nice, though, because obviously you need a Cybercore in order to make Stalkers. Usually not much of a problem. But if hero wants to now capitalize with an all-in, yeah, he's likely going to have to rebuild it, which he starts up right now, together with the charge research, so he can still at least use those gateway charges to maybe get some... well, zealots out on the battlefield, but this is going to massively slow down hero. I quite like it, actually, that Solar decided to just snipe the Cybercore and then get out. Okay. So the losses have been quite extreme, and at this point, hero's economy is not as good as that of the Zerg. So I think Solar will be quite content just sitting back here, making a load of army. Okay. Hero knows that he is not in a good spot. And you know what? When behind Dark Shrine, it's still a very good bit of advice. You always have a chance to come back with Dark Templar, albeit a very, very slim one against somebody of Solar's caliber. Yeah, Blink Stalkers are good, though. Nobody really micros them better than Hero. Yeah, maybe some players can micro a little bit better than Hero. But Hero on a good day does have phenomenal Stalker micro. I really think actually only Max Specs gets close. Cheeky little Overlord's gonna be used yet again, but this time around to ferry some links, I think towards the main base of Protoss. Similar to those Adepts being very annoying earlier. I think that's the plan right now for those Zerglings in the main base of our Protoss player, but a couple of links going around the side as well. 3rd Nexus does get spotted. Solar's gonna see that there's practically no mining happening there. Baneling speed started up. Roach speed also coming. We have a Dark Templar warped in. hero's gonna see the Banelings. That's a little awkward. Sorry, coming through. Excuse me. Did he even notice, though? Because it's, there's no reaction whatsoever. Oh, no, that'd be very unfortunate. He's so busy trying to micro the Stalkers that the Banelings slip into the mineral line, and that's another big bunch of probes down the drain. In the meantime, the Zergling balloon has arrived inside of the main base, too, and this is now going from bad to worse. Couple of Dark Templar here slicing up a few units. Defensive Overseer is going to be an absolute necessity. Looks like we have some defensive Dark Templar also coming up, but I don't think that it really matters all too much. Even with some drones going down, Solar just has so many units. Now, the Dark Templar do put in a lot of damage, but hero is executing all of this off of just 39 probes, and that's not going to be enough against the Zerg player on 4 bases. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Winter Madness. Solar leading the best of 7 series 1-0. And honestly, making it look pretty easy. Certainly setting the tone for the series, right? Yeah. Sometimes when your opponent is doing weird stuff, you just need to go fucking kill him. Yeah, sorry. Sorry for the F-bomb, but, you know, it needs to be said. When your opponent becomes a little bit too much of a clown every once in a while, you do need to at least keep them honest. I think Solar looked at that. He's like, yo, you invested into all of that and you basically got no damage done with it at all. Like, you killed an Overlord, you killed a Zergling. I've been pretty greedy here. I've been droning a lot. You've not killed really anything with your Oracle at all. I then killed all of your Adepts with the counter-attack, right? Like, we got the full surround on the Adepts, even though the little follow-up there did get some worker damage done. I think Solar looked at it. He's like, yo, you have thrown away a ton of mining. You've built a lot of stuff. None of it really did anything. I've been very greedy, so I can just go fucking kill you. Void Ray opener yet again here for hero. There's no way he's going to do the same follow-up. This time around, Otto is going to valiantly sacrifice himself for the greater good. Yeah. Wow. Instant thick beam from hero. That Overlord was going to be dead, but he decided to kill him even faster. You know what? Maybe that's the right thing to do, right? No need, no reason really to keep Otto suffering. Okay. Oracle again on the back of this, though. Twilight Council really fast. One thing we've seen hero do a bunch, and he did this recently in a series I did cast against Shin, is he went for the exact opener that we just saw. So it was Void Ray into Oracle, and then into a lot of Adepts. He then proceeded to lose all of the Adepts, and then he followed it up with an Adept all-in with Glaives. Which is insanely nonsensical, but it worked. Because it's so dumb that, like, it gets smart again. StarCraft 2 strategies are basically a circle. Everybody thinks of them as a line, but it's... it's basically a circle. Lose all of your Adepts to then follow it up with an Adept all-in. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your opponent doesn't expect it anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. And because they don't expect it, it can actually work. It's going to be Blink, though, together with +1 here this time around from hero. Much faster than what we saw in the previous game. Robo Facility. Yeah, and I gotta hand it to Solar here so far. His early game is looking extremely solid. Now, this has been a much greedier opener, too, from hero. Because of the timing of the 3rd Nexus, he doesn't really need to worry so much about the worker count of the Zerg. You can actually see it reflected right now. Stalker going down here at the front, but you can see it reflected right now in the worker count, at least for a little bit, if these Zerglings have any say in the matter. Yeah, Solar's going to be able to even that up. Yeah, it's a little messy. He's trying to click onto the units, but sometimes accidentally hit one of the structures. Lerdo finishing up already. Baneling Nest right now on the back of this, so a skip on the Roach Warren. Big Zergling counterattack yet again. Straight into a Robo Bay. The Robo Bay is an interesting one. It's really good if the opponent skips out roaches. But herO's saw that the opponent played roaches in the previous game. So, nice little counter here again, by the way. Hold position on the Zerglings to try and maximize the amount of damage. Adepts over here are getting denied as well. It's going to be a Hydra then follow-up here from the Zerg. And this is kind of the perfect style to be playing Colossus into. It's just that I'm not sure what herO's takeaway here was. Like, he didn't see anything that screamed to him that roaches were going to be skipped. Yeah, Colossus. It's just a Colossus here. Only a single Robo facility, though, so he's not going double Robo. As soon as Zerg figures out that it's a Robo Bay, and I think that's, yeah, what this Overseer is going to try and get done, he will likely tech up towards the Hive and go into Vipers. Anything that's Robo Bay related has a weakness to Vipers. Well, he's not going to get the Scout. Okay, good denial over there as well by our Protoss. This Colossus is going to hit the battlefield entirely unscouted. Infestation Pit coming up for Solar here regardless. I think that's just part of his normal timing. He may very well be thinking about going into a... like a lurker transition here. I think that probably makes the most sense. And it's only a single Colossus, right? Like, he's making another one right now on the back of this, but he's only making one at a time. So it's not really leaning into a really big timing attack. This is a pretty passive start for herO's sake. And I think that suits Solar just fine. Effectively here, what herO has done is, yeah, sit back. I feel like it's difficult for him too, you know? He's always in the opponent's face. This is probably the most passive way I've seen herO open up in this matchup in, yeah, weeks, maybe months. He's giving himself a little Warp Prism to, you know, play around with, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of fun. No Lurker Den, by the way, here for Solar. So, Solar may very well just double down on mass Hydraling Bane. This is still a scary army, though, for Protoss. Yeah, there's the Colossi. So, Colossi absolutely destroy Zerglings and Hydras. It all really comes down to how the fight is taken, I suppose. Big Zergling counterattack yet again. I really like this from Solar. Those Zerglings are going to be annoying. They're going to be killing probes really quickly, forcing a warp in over here too, and actually, herO decides to just go all the way back home. This is buying time, though, for Vipers to come out. If you look at this army and you take the Colossi and then also the Prism out of the equation, there's nothing other than Stalkers, right? And Hydraling Bane will absolutely destroy Stalkers. Solar looking for an opportunity to maybe crash upon this army before that point in time. Vipers are still on the production tab. Queens in the front could also be decent to maybe draw some of the Colossus fire. This is still a scary Protoss army, though. Okay, the Vipers need to get their energy out. Oh, he sees one of them now. This may create some urgency. Maybe he can snipe it. Not quite the case. A lot of Banelings here actually going down before they can really achieve anything. Colossi retargeted onto all of the Hydralisks. Aggressive blink forward. There's the abductions, though, and that is immediately two Colossi down the drain. Move command right there as well from herO. Takes a lot of damage. Drones have decided to take matters into their own hands. And while this is messy, it's honestly a little bit sloppy as well from Solar. I do believe that it's good enough. I mean, it all comes down to the Stalker follow-up. This is just simply 33 Stalkers. herO has got Stalkers, and then more Stalkers, and then more Stalkers. That's all that he's got. Adrenal Glance is finishing, which is a big power spike for the Zerglings. Problem is, it's just so many Stalkers. Wait a second. No, herO. herO's playing mono battles. He just warped in more Stalkers. herO. Blinding Cloud over there is actually kind of sick. He's making more Stalkers. He does have +2 and then +1 armor finishing up in just a moment. But really what he's doing is making Stalkers. What Solar needs is Zerglings. But this fight has been going on so long that the Zerglings are actually kind of bleeding out. So he's blinking the weakened Stalkers behind the army. Hero! Hero, don't tell me you're gonna... Hero's doing the most hero-esque thing I've seen him do in a bit now. Blinding clouds here are insanely painful. He's just making stalkers. Hero is not making a fourth. He's not getting additional upgrades. He's not rebuilding the Colossi. He's not trying to tech up towards, like, Skytolls. He's just making stalkers. That's all he's doing. And I think he's getting the job done because he's doing such a good job just keeping the weakened units alive. Hydra's hit very hard, though, and they are all moving to the front right now. But that Prism, oh my god, an aggressive link forward as well from Hero. Drones get pulled at this point in time, and I feel like Solar is also in disbelief. GG gets cold. Hero just won the game with just Stalkers. Next up, we find ourselves on a Ruby Rock. Yeah, I think Parting would indeed be proud of winning with just Stalkers. I mean, sometimes when you have a critical mass, especially for units that are as mobile as a Stalker, it still really feels, though, to me that that really shouldn't have worked, right? Because Hydras win against Stalkers if you have the even numbers. Zerglings with Adrenal Glands absolutely decimate Stalkers. But Solar just really couldn't get the forces together. And I think that ultimately makes that clumsy engagement against the Colossi the real problem there. If he would have crashed into that army a little bit more confidently, if the Vipers would have been available even just like 5 seconds sooner, he likely would have saved the clump of Banelings that the Colossi ended up killing, and that fight of the Protoss would not have looked nearly as good. There's so many things there that could have just changed the outcome, but you gotta hand it to Hero. Most of the time his strategies are very high IQ. That was literally just brain dead more Stalkers, but hey, why make things complicated when, well, easy strategies do the trick? Stargate opener here again. Oracle first this time around. I don't think Hero is happy, though, with that particular game. I mean, obviously the outcome is good, but there is not really a way that you can plan for that. Like, step 1 is the opponent getting Vipers a little bit later than they absolutely need them. Step 2 is also make sure they're not going into Lurkers, because that likewise would have been a problem. Step 3, make sure they skip out on the Roach Warren too. Right? Like, you have no control over any of those things. So while it is a win in the end, I don't think we can really reliably get Solar to make all of those mistakes every single game moving forward. The Adepts begin their dance. Oracle, of course, is distracted. But hey, it is a strategy game in the end, right? I think Hero looked at it, he's like, wait a second, I think I just have the numbers. He thought about going back home for just a moment, but then he looked at his army, he's like, wait a second, I just have like 3 Stalkers for every Hydralisk that's out. All right, Oracles have started their work. 2 Creep Tumors. Not too shabby, but also not really anything to write home about. Twilight Council together with a Forge yet again. Obviously, there's a good chunk of money on the line for this series, right? It's a $3,500 tournament. Meaning that every win matters. But we're not as likely to see Hero maybe go for the craziest build orders. At least the more experimental stuff will probably be left to the smaller events. Unless he maybe has some wiggle room. Likewise as well from Solar. I mean, Solar is not a very experimental Zerg in the first place. But usually, this is not really the time to experiment anyways. You really want to be building your absolute best armies. Ooh, it's going to be Charge first. Charge first is always interesting. Because as good as Hero was with the Blink Stalkers in the previous game, he's really not going to be able to put in any additional work with Zealots. Like I say this every time. Oracle goes down. I say this every time, but there's just no micro ability in the Zealot. Like when you get Charge, your micro on the Zealot is attack moving. And literally a Silver League Zerg player, or sorry, a Silver League Protoss player can execute a charge attack as good as Hero can, at least as far as the unit control goes. Now, obviously, deciding the battle, macroing your way up there, it's all very different, right? But when it comes to the mass Zealot-based armies, which seems to be what Hero is cooking up here, there's not much you can do. Like, you charge or you don't. That's really the decision-making. Quick infestation pit, by the way, here for Solar. He did not skip out on the Roach Warren a second time around. Although, you know what? We have double immortals coming up right now. Are we just going to go for like a strange 3-base all-in? Is that the plan? Solar's going to scout now. He sees the double Robo. No Robo Bay. So he knows that this is likely not going to be that big of a problem. Basically, what you need to do here as a Zerg is make non-stop army for a while. Swarm hosts! Okay. Well, that's army in the strictest sense of the word. We're going to get Archon Immortal Zealot here. So, Roach Swarm Host in the meantime, though, from Zerg. A little bit funky. Very strong, of course, if indeed used correctly. But it all comes down to those Locust Waves. Charge, by the way, has been spotted at this point in time. Oracles trying their absolute best to be as annoying as possible. We did have one Oracle going down, by the way, and hero then added on a fourth. The fourthicle. But the Swarm Hosts, they're out, and he sees them. He gets a little glimpse. Now, this is Swarm Host without any sort of Nidus network. Usually, we see Nidus and Swarm Host go hand in hand. Although, to be fair, we rarely see Swarm Host as it is. I like the unit a lot, but it is definitely a little bit of a meme unit. Really? We go for a Queen March? With a Swarm Host attack to boot, and then just rally all the reinforcements across? Here we go. The first wave of Locusts. Now, the Prism here is really sweet. Zergling's trying their best. Yeah, he can juggle. That's so good for hero. Lings, though, do go in, and this is problematic. There is a Swarm Host Defender, though, in the mineral line in the natural. First wave over there, not really achieving that much. Couple of probes dying, but nothing really too great. We have a Zealot counterattack, too, though, but intercepted by Solar, who decided to march the ladies back home. Okay, so what's the follow-up now? Especially for Solar. Look at the supply count, right? So this is what Swarm Hosts are really good at. You can max out super fast. Which usually is kind of what you're aiming for, but in the case of Swarm Host, you kind of wish you weren't. The Prism. Nicely done. The Prism is so good. Yeah, the Prism is basically countering like 50 supply worth of Swarm Host here by itself. You love to see it. Now hero really has an opportunity to go across, because even though Protoss is still building up their army, and they have 50 supply available still to be maxing out with, this is a unit composition that can already win against this maxed out army of Solar. Swarm Hosts are quite literally very hit or miss. Hydra then now on the back of this, 5th hatchery coming up too. One of the downsides as well of Swarm Host is that you kind of have to play it off of a small economy. So Solar only on 68 workers compared to the 80-something that you would really like to have. Great control here, by the way. Even though the Zealots cannot really be microed much, I think we just saw the first Archon going down. It's really the first time that the Swarm Hosts have killed, or first Immortal, rather. It's the first time that we see the Swarm Host killing anything. Ooh, Nidus Worm together with a Lurker Den and a Hive. So I think Solar has decided that if the opponent attacks right now, he's likely dead. So he may as well sort of just test the waters and get all of the important stuff in one go. I guess the idea is to at some point trade out the Swarm Hosts and then replace them with Lurkers instead. Now this is nice. Denying the 4th Nexus here of hero is quite a big deal. A late cancel, but a cancel nonetheless. And this is all a little bit annoying. Loads of Zealots dying right now as well to the Locusts. A bunch of Roaches in the mix. The timing window for hero is closing, though, because if Solar can now replace this with like 14 Lurkers, I mean, that's probably the plan. It is going to be very difficult for hero to actually push. Still, though, the Immortal count is so big. Another Oracle does end up falling. Locusts currently are on cooldown. Problem is, of course, that there's a lot of creep, right? And normally you kind of want to push a little bit and then wait for the creep to dissipate, but I think hero is successfully reading that this is not a time that he has. Like, that's not a luxury available to him. Because he notices the Hydras at this point, and he knows that the Lurkers are not going to be too far behind. We have one Locust Wave over here to buy a lot of time. Prism back yet again for some lovely bit of micro. Hatchery falls. And this is now a 3-base all-in for hero. No 4th hatchery, or what is it called again? A Nexus on the back of this right now for hero. No pyramids anymore for him. We are now doubling down, and we are fighting on the creep. Lurkers are coming. The immortal count, though, is so bloody big. We have 14 immortals. Archons in the front, immortals in the back. It's a party. Locust wave again, but these zealots... The zealots just forced the Locust to land preemptively. Yeah, and the immortals really are living up to their name. So, we had one immortal die. Literally one immortal died this entire game, and they've been out for like the better part of 6 minutes. So there's this game mode in StarCraft 2 on the arcade called Mono Battles. It's very popular, and it's a game mode where you can only make 1 unit each. So you can make workers, and then the unit that you choose. So most of the time, players will pick something like a Marine. Every once in a while, you'll have an idiot on your team who picks Medevac. Don't be that guy. Anyways, that's effectively what hero has been doing so far in this series, right? So in the second game, he went Stalkers, and then more Stalkers, and then more Stalkers, and then and then in the previous match, it was all Immortals. Now, for once, the Immortals did live up to their names, and obviously he did have some Archons in the mix, and there were Zealots charging around. But it seems to me that hero really is choosing 1 unit, and that is the unit that he's focusing on. Cheeky little Zergling trying to get the scout off, just like we've seen in the previous games so far. The Overlord will try its very best to go up on top of the pillar. It's a bit strange, by the way, for a Protoss to go for a Stalker first. Usually Stalker first is not what you built. Could still be very useful. Okay. Oracle yet again. Double Oracle, it seems, as he already queues up the next one too. Timing of the 3rd Nexus. Well, it's going to be coming up nice and quickly. Hero now, since he knows he's ahead in the series as far as the map score goes, he's starting to take some chances here. So this is now a 3rd Nexus before completing the wall off with a 2nd gateway. This is now a Stalker first, so he can start hunting down the Overlords rather than a bunch of Adepts. It's now an Oracle first as well, instead of a Void Ray, right? So he's cutting a couple of corners here and there. He's just trying to be ever so slightly greedier. Because it makes all the difference in the end. It's these little things that can add up. Now if you play a quote-unquote normal follow-up, everything's just going to hit slightly harder. Because you've already gotten away with some of the greed. Look at the worker count, for example, at this point in time. Hero is leading it already. Evo Chamber coming up here for Solar. It's a bit quicker than what we've seen thus far. I'm assuming that's for +1 melee. Yep. +1 melee and then probably a lair with the next 100 gas. Stalker is likely to fall here in the end. He did get a couple of kills, though. Did he kill 2 Overlords? No, just the 1. 2 Overlords would be kind of insane. Okay. Lair. Indeed, with the next 100 gas. Double Robo again. So double Robo, does that mean we go charge together with +1 yet again? Do we just follow it up with the same strategy yet again? He's busy microing the oracles at this point in time. But yeah. Dude, if you're a Protoss player and you're not entirely sure what to do in Protoss versus Zerg, I think this is a really nice build to be practicing. It's a bit more brain dead, you know? Because, like, I don't mean that in a bad way, but, like, microing Stalkers and Oracles is really hard. Stalkers are really nice. They're strong. But you do need to control them. Zealots are just a little bit more like, okay, I'm gonna attack move you now and hope for the best. Obviously, they still benefit from good decision making. Speaking of good decisions, I don't think we're gonna be seeing Solar go for any sort of swarm hosts again. Like, the unit really seemed pretty terrible. Yeah, I don't think... ooh, okay. So it's +1 melee into a Spire. Solo is going Roach Warren, probably thinking back of some of the previous games where he did lose to, well, not building a Roach Warren, right? Not having a proper counter against the Colossi, for example, but it's also nice against Adept all-ins and Zealot pushes and all the rest of it. But what Solo really wants to do here is Muta Ling. Roaches are probably just going to be a just-in-case type of thing. He will start up Roach Speed, though, so who knows? Maybe it's a just-in-case Roach Speed, too. Double gas taken at the 4th base, and that is indicative of him really wanting to double down to Mutas. Obviously, when you go for an Immortal Zealot army, you don't have anti-air. So, usually Spire... I mean, Corruptors are really good against flying units, I suppose, but Mutas, you don't really play so much against the opponent's army. Usually they're an harassment tool, but, I mean, still certainly doable. And considering hero is going 10 gates... Spire gets spotted now. Considering hero is going 10 gates, I think he's committed. He's ready to go for a big attack here in a moment. He starts up a Phoenix, though, so respecting the Mutalisks enough. Second Stargate, too. Are we going to cancel any gateways? I highly doubt we're going to be able to produce out of 2 Robos, 2 Stargates, and then 10 gateways as well. Not off of this economy. Okay, so the Mutas actually are slowing the game down a ton. Apparently the first order of business, since he knows he's been scouted and he knows there's likely going to be defense, is to try and chase those oracles back. Maybe even kill them. I do really like the observer positioning, by the way. It's really good to see. Nice to have it give you the heads up of where the Mutas are going to be coming from. But there's just not a lot of anti-air. Here come the Phoenixes. Phoenixes, of course, can move and shoot at the same time. Mutas are slightly quicker. But they're still really good. Like, if you keep them moving, technically, the Phoenixes should always be able to win. Oh, Solar actually going full Sky Zerg. He's going to try and counter the Phoenixes right now with Corruptors. So he's going Muta Corruptor only. Phoenixes for now, though, putting in the work, but so are the Lings. Still, not bad positioning here for hero. Could have been a disaster. Only 3 probes go down in the end. But now hero is pushed into a very defensive position, right? This wasn't a game plan at all. He wanted to go for a 3-base all-in with mass gateway unit, and he's been forced into a very different spot. Still, though, the Phoenixes are dominating the fight. Yeah, and while Corruptors are nice, they can still be killed by a bunch of Phoenixes. +1 air upgrades coming up here, too, for hero now. Okay. Is he going to build up a 4th Nexus at all? Like, are we worried about the economy? Because even though Solar is losing a lot of units, he is obviously not in that bad of a spot here, economically speaking. Like, yeah, none of these fights are too cost-effective for Zerg, but it's also not the end of the world. And all the while, he does have a 16-worker advantage. Corruptors are actually also pretty quick. Mutas are still faster. You do kind of have to lead the fight with the Corruptors, but they are fast. They are beefy. And obviously, if you attack move them, they will automatically go after the Phoenixes. We are bleeding out a ton of Mutas, though. I don't really know if I like this fight too much. Solar probably hoping that these counterattacks are going to be a little bit more efficient, but I gotta hand the ground defense and also the air defense to hero thus far. Like, yeah, he lost a lot of important troops, but it's surely not the end of the world. Muta count has really been dwindling. Yeah, 20 Mutas have died this game. That's a lot. The problem here for hero, though, is that we are now 10 minutes in, and he's still on 3 bases. It's fine if you want to go for a big attack. But not ideal if you are wanting to go for some form of a macro game. So yeah, I think hero's hand here is forced. Maybe he wasn't originally planning on going for a push, but I think he doesn't really have a choice. Zergling counterattack, though, immediately moves in. Of course, the all-army hotkey has been utilized. Prism! Okay, at least he unloads the 2 Archons there. Could have been a disaster. But the Zerglings are still biting away through whatever they can find over at the 3rd. Bunch of Zealots do get warped in, though. Natural expansion getting overwhelmed here by the Zerg. Then again, the losses really aren't too critical. 11 probes yet again. It's easy for Solar here to get a bit of a misread, right? Because you keep running Zerglings into your opponent's mineral line. You can't really pay attention to exactly what they're killing because you're also trying to micro-mute us. So maybe in Solar's mind, he's killed like 50 probes by now. When in reality, it's only 17. It's really not that much. I mean, it's a very replaceable amount, I suppose, considering it's 17 over the course of quite a long time. Okay, he's adding some more into the mix now, though, but in the meantime, there is a counter-attack, too, towards the 12 o'clock position. Muta's still trying to chase down whatever they can. These Archons are having a good time. 8 and 4 kills, respectively. They obviously deal splash damage, and they are tearing the Mutalisks apart. Whew, really good exchange there in the end. Zealots and Immortals, well, going to town as well. 12 o'clock base is gone. Third Nexus gets defended once more. Bunch of Immortals caught in the middle of the map. But what about this army right over here? Dude, what in the world did hero just bundle together? An absolute clown fiesta yet again. Like, this game was in really good control for Solar, but then like 2 minutes go by, the Mutas die to Archons, and then, yeah, we end up here. That's crazy. Yeah, organized chaos, right? Like, that's really the only way to explain hero. He just killed pretty much all the economy of the Zerg. Don't know where you guys are going. But if you get found, I think the leftover Phoenixes will be having a grand old time. Hero actually now in a really good spot. Yeah, and while maybe you can criticize some of the decision-making and all the rest of it, there is zero denying that hero has been winning so much StarCraft as of late. Like, in isolation, if this was like a one-off type of game, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, I don't know, man. Was this really the right thing to do? But hero consistently is winning games where it feels like he is just making calls that are very questionable. But if you consistently can get the job done, does it really matter? Well, this game is not over yet because there are 18 Mutas, but the Zerg's economy has been dwindling, and here come the Phoenixes. Most Protoss players would be thinking about getting a 4th Nexus going, and then also a Fleet Beacon to get the ranged upgrade on the Phoenixes. Like, we've had, well, 21 Phoenixes? Yeah, with 22, 23 coming in right now. We have an insane amount of Phoenixes, but he never got a Fleet Beacon for the Anion's Pulse Crystals research. That's weird, right? Like, that's not really what you would normally do with Phoenixes. That's like getting Zerglings without Zergling speed. This is not winnable, Solar. Oh my god, hero gets the job done. Match point right here. For our Protoss, we find ourselves on the map a White Rabbit. I sometimes wonder how Hero's opponents feel when they play against him. Solar's gotta be believing that he was making all the right moves for like the first 95% of the game, and then it turns out you lose. And there are a lot of games like that. Yeah, Hero's specialty really is to win in the end. And while maybe the methods are a little bit unorthodox, they're working. And he's certainly playing by the rules. It's just that he sort of established his own rules. Stargate opener yet again, though. It's a bit of a throw, right? If you feel like, if you watch that game from Solar's point of view, like, you've got your opponent contained on 3 bases. You've got 86 or so workers in total. You are throwing away a lot of units, but you're also trading mostly 1-to-1. And since you have like a, what? Like maybe a 25% bigger economy, if you're mostly trading 1-to-1, if time goes by, you end up with more stuff. And then obviously the opponent has to counterattack if they ultimately have to go all in. And if they're going for a counterattack, you're fighting them on creep, so it's all perfect. It works out brilliantly for you. I think those Archons in the middle of the map had a great time. Immediate beam in the rear right there from the Void Ray. Otto turned around for that one. We don't judge. We just look at it. Actually, as a commentator, I guess it is kind of my... Yeah, I do have to judge it every once in a while. Yeah. Anyways, Void Ray into Oracle yet again. Delayed third Nexus. Last game, we had a third Nexus at 3:30. Now we have a third Nexus at 4... What is this? Oh, yeah, 700 minerals deep. 413. It's another one of those things that Solar will look at. He's like, wait a second, that's suboptimal. Like, this is not ideal. This Nexus is later than it needs to be, and it's because we're going double Stargate with a fleet beacon. So now we whip out the Tempest build. We've been showing the opponent Void Ray into Oracle basically, well, every game so far, except one, if I'm not mistaken. Thus far, this looks identical for Solar yet again to the strategies that he's been playing against already. But this time around, we have a follow-up with Skytles. First fleet beacon in the series, by the way. This trade-out will work out just fine for the Protoss. He doesn't really care. Obviously, he needs to deny any sort of vision of the main base. But I think the Tempest production can commence. Yeah. Oh, carriers? Really? I think carriers are kind of questionable. Maybe. I mean, they work really well if Zerg has no idea. But one thing, yeah, that is very consistent for Solar is that he always makes an Overseer when he arrives at Lair. It's far away because Otto died, right? So he's not going to be able to get the scout in anytime soon. And maybe it can still be denied, but... Ooh, Spire coming up actually blindly. Solar apparently still wants to go for Mutas. And if he sees that this is carrier production, he is very, very likely going to make Corruptors rather than Mutas. So if you can get a glimpse... If you can just get a glimpse of the carriers, he will start up Corruptors, and at that point, it's going to be really difficult for hero to get anything done. Because Roach Corruptors will just destroy everything. Nemetis Carapace coming up right here for Solar. Fourth Hatchery also building up. Oh, this is a good denial. This is really nicely done. This means that hero can slowly continue the carrier production. Overseer Scout is denied. He needs to leave them in the main base, though. He needs to leave them hidden. Solar's going to be wondering as well, okay, are you going for a Stalker warp in right now? Okay, there's a couple Stalkers over there. Yeah, probably a Stalker follow-up. How many carriers do you build? That's the question. How many carriers do you build before you show them off? If Zerg decides to go for an attack, okay, which is indeed the case, I don't think you have any choice but to review it here in just a moment. The Queen March, though, gets spotted, so hero needs to get those bad boys into position. Yep, that's exactly what he does. Carriers are now spotted for the first time. Can you actually do this, or do you return back home? Solar is doubling down, but he basically has no anti-air. He restarts the Spire, by the way, after canceling it last time around, because he wanted to go for an all-in with Roaches, Queens, and Zerglings, but I don't think you're going to be able to win this whatsoever. Do you fire up the +1 upgrade in the Cybercore? Kind of feel like you need to go for the +1 air weapons now. Or you just counterattack? Wait, is this going to be like the... Is this a carrier mono battle now? So we've had a Stalker mono battle, we've had an Immortal mono battle, now we go into a carrier mono battle? Do we just fly? I think that's what we're doing. Zergling run by, though, could be problematic. +1 air weapons does fire up. He recalls. I think hero also thought to himself there for a moment that it could have been a massive issue. Cheeky little zealot over here gets warped in just barely in the nick of time. Carrier number 5 is out. There's Mama. And Solar is awkwardly sitting here with a bunch of units that are not very useful in this game anymore. Corruptors are coming, though, and he does have 4 bases worth of economy, so the income is nice. Hero's still, by the way, not securing a 4th. just like in the previous game, you gotta be wondering when you take the additional expansion. We do need it sooner rather than later, or we are stuck playing an all-in yet again. He's going Void Rays now, by the way. He knows that the Spire has been rebuilding, or I don't think he's seen it. No, he did. Okay. No, he saw the old Spire. He did not know that the Spire got rebuilt, but he probably assumes that the old one is still up. And when your opponent has obviously seen that you're going carriers, they will likely start making corruptors. You start making Void Rays, because Void Rays are, well, very good against armored units, which is what corruptors are. So it's a bit of a weird game here from hero. It's a bit of a messy one, maybe. But it does make sense. Fourth Nexus, by the way, extremely late. But apparently hero does not care. His main goal is just to max out. There's, by the way, no High Templar with Storm or anything along those lines. And this is a scary attack. Ravagers with Corrosive Bowels can put in a lot of work. There's the Corrosive Bowels going down, just barely in between the units. Mama does die, but she did pop down a Time Warp, and I think this is a good enough defense for hero for the time being. He's getting Flux Veins, by the way, which is the Void Ray movement speed. Ooh. Corrosive Bowels almost killing the Corruptors. Flux Veins is done right now. That is the Speedy Boy upgrade for the Void Ray. +1 air weapons for the Zerg. +1 missile right here as well for the Zerg. Look at the minimap. Solar is like everywhere and he can do whatever he likes, but I don't really know if this is what he needs to be doing. Ooh, okay, sorry. Flashbacks to Serral versus Hero at the EWC? Sorry, can we just look at that again? There's no... There's no way. Did that just happen? Ay, ay, ay. Those corrosive biles just killed so much stuff. But it is the problem, right? This is one of those unit compositions for Protoss that just takes up a lot of space. And it's extremely easy to not notice where the biles are landing. Just good zoning right over here, though, with the Archons. The next flank over here with the Corruptors is going to be critical. Once more, Archons move into position. And they do get some nice bits of splash damage off. In the meantime, the carriers are just chipping away at whatever they can hit. Not a single carrier has died so far. And the cost efficiency here from the Protoss is through the roof. Oh no, not again, not again. The Archons have been extremely important in this game. Maybe even more so in the last game against the Mutalisks. I think we fire up the +2 air weapons now, hero. I know it's kind of expensive, but it's so freaking good. Hero's first attack in quite a long time. Mothership, by the way, being remade. Gonna need to see a bit of a warp in over here. I think the carrier numbers are just so good, man. This Zealot run by actually is gonna likely pull most of the Zerg army back because he doesn't have that many units. Corruptors. Oh, they are just shredded immediately by the Skytos army. And Solar here decided to just go as aggressively as he possibly could because he knows that this army is going to transition to Storm eventually. He knows that this is going to be a maxed out Skytos deathball before too long. So he tried shutting it down before it ever laid eggs. But ultimately, hero, he plays a very defensive game yet again. He doesn't even need to go across the map. Other than with that group of zealots, I suppose. But just like that, it is hero who wins the Korean Royale 4-1 in the grand finals. I mean, that first game, he did lose. That was against the Ravager Queen all-in. But then he won 4 games, back to back to back to back. In, honestly, a very dominant fashion. GG.